Hi there and welcome back. If this is your first time catching one of my videos, welcome. I had a different idea planned for this video, but I thought I would give myself a break from the more organized videos so that maybe I could spend less time editing, because I hate editing and I didn't realize how much I would hate editing until I went to do it, because I hate staring at my face for that long and I hate the sound of my voice. So yeah, not planning to do much editing on here. Apologies in advance if that means there's some awkward silence, because I might space out if it goes too long, but obviously I'll cut that down. But yeah, so I decided that I would go ahead and just do kind of like a mini snapshot of kind of what it's like to live with mental illness. Not kind of like one of those like, oh, follow me around with the camera, because quite frankly, my house is a disaster. Don't want the entire internet seeing how bad of a housekeeper I am. So I'm just going to tell you what's been going on. So one update that I realized that I never did put out there is one of my earlier videos had been talking about like dealing with depression in children, and I talked a little bit about what we were experiencing in my house with my son going through a bit of a depressive episode with anxiety. And happy to report that we have made it over that hill. So happy to have a therapist for him that works so closely with us and checks in regularly. And he has an amazing teacher and a actually like an intern school counselor. And both of them have been really great. And by working together, we were able to figure out a plan to like get him back and going. And it's such a relief to see him happy and smiling and being like talkative and social again and wanting to play games and going to the park. He hung out with his friend yesterday for like the first time in months. So that is just I'm so glad to have that weight lifted off, because that was really that was weighing on me a lot. I don't think any parent wants to see their kid going through a tough time like that, especially at such a young age. And you know, unfortunately, it's just part of what kind of comes along with ASD, because you know, it's a very generous way of living, and there are a lot of challenges that come with it, and so it brings with it a mixed bag of other goodies, and you know, as well as the genetic disposition to mental illness that I have brought from my very, very wealthy genetic line. So glad to see him in brighter spirits, definitely. I have been going through it. I am back to work, so that's a good thing. So I can stop lying around the house like a sad potato, and have some purpose in my life again. It has been difficult. It's exhausting to go from like not doing anything to working a full 40 hours a week. That is, you know, an adjustment that my body is still making. I'm exhausted by the end of the day. I'm also like heavy in training mode right now, which is, you know, super great for the ADHD. Able to focus really well, you know, training on a computer from home. It's real good. I, on top of that, have had a flare up of not one, not two, but three different things going on. So that's been amazing. No, four things. I've mentioned before that I've been dealing with some dissociative symptoms, still trying to figure out what's going on with that. So that's been also really helpful when it comes to focusing on training, because I like yesterday was really tough. Yesterday I was feeling really jumbled up, and that was really hard because I could not, it took me like 5 times to get through one training, and I'm, usually able to get through those like 1-2 times at the most. So that was tough. I'm glad that I'd gotten myself ahead when it came to the trainings because I really needed the extra time yesterday. So still trying to figure out what that is. In the process of figuring what that is, I am in the transition period of moving to a new psychologist, so that has also been fun, because it's basically anytime I'm going to a new therapist, I have to like bring my giant book of things. Like, here is my autobiography that is longer than the Lord of the Rings anthology. Here's also a slideshow to go along with it. Why don't you read that and call me back when you're done? Because honestly, I hate doing the whole get to know you phase of a new therapist. It sucks. And it is also hard because it takes that much longer before you really like get into the meat of things, because you're kind of playing catch up, like the whole like, tell me about yourself, and I'm like, where do you like me to start? Because we could be here for a while. So that's been interesting. The past 2 weeks especially though have been difficult because, like, along with the dissociation I've been dealing with, and I had a flare-up of some BPD symptoms last week, and dealing with some hypomania with mixed features this week. That's been fun. And then we threw in some PMDD just to make it spicy. So that's been a fun roller coaster that I've been riding. I don't like roller coasters. Never been a fan, so that is, fun. I do feel like I'm coming down a little bit from the hypomania. I'm also feeling a little bit more focused today than I have in the past few days, which is a nice change. Living with disassociation is really uncomfortable sometimes because it does kind of feel like I'm just like not in control of anything around me. Like, my body feels weird, the world feels weird. I don't necessarily feel like I'm even fully present, and that can be really hard to engage with people or with material when I'm feeling so distanced from everything. And I mentioned in the previous video that I would do a video about dissociation at some point in the future, once I'm a little more stable with my own symptoms. And so I'm hoping that will be soon. I'm really just trying to figure out what's going on with that. The hypomania with mixed features, that one's always interesting. I have experienced mixed episodes a lot. I tend to have them pretty regularly. I have mixed episodes more than I have like true pure hypermania. Hypomania. I think I've been saying that wrong all week. Ooh, I think I did an Instagram post and had that written wrong. I'm gonna have to check that. If you're not following me on Instagram, I don't know why, you definitely should. So I'll leave that link on there, and then you can go and take a look and see if I wrote that wrong. Pretty sure I did, because the whole idea is it's less than mania, and hypermania would be more than mania. That sucks. I don't usually make those kinds of mistakes, so that's a little embarrassing. Okay. So basically what that means is that, like, you experience both hypermania symptoms and depressive symptoms at the same time. And I know that that's really confusing. It was confusing for me because I was kind of like, how do you have both? And I only recently really like learned how that really displays, because a lot, like the way that it's usually written, it makes it sound like you're like, you know, one side of your face is smiling and the other side is like weeping and snotty, and like you might as well be like Two-Face flipping a coin, because that's really what it sounded like, when in all actuality it's more like a really fast cycle. So like I am the hypermanic, and this past week has been interesting because I haven't really gotten any of that hypermanic joy that is kind of like the stereotypical mania. It's been more of a like go, go, go feeling, a lot more anxiety, really high irritability. Like I've been a complete witch this week, and I am hoping that I have not kind of like trampled over anybody due to that. I have done a little bit of my typical apology tour, and so far people have been like, I haven't really noticed that, and I'm like, oh, okay, faking it better than I thought. That's good. So hopefully, but so at the same time that I'm feeling those, I will still have these moments where like I am just weeping and feeling really terrible about myself, and really trying to combat these like impulses and these like negative thoughts that my brain is telling me. And it's a really uncomfortable feeling, and like it starts to like turn into this kind of like electric current running through my body, and that is it's not pleasant. It's like really feeling like uncomfortable in my own skin, and also feeling just really like claustrophobic. Like the past few days, it's been like if I had to open the windows, open all the curtains, like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm suffocating. And that's when I know that like things are not going well. So like, you know, a lot of the way that it gets portrayed is that like that mania is like, it feels so good, and for some people it does. Some people do experience it. Mine does not tend to be very pleasant. If I'm lucky, I'll get about a day of that, like really like colors are brighter, everything is great, the sun is shining. I'll get about like one good day of that, and then the next couple of days is kind of that just like irritable, anxious, like just that feeling like I'm out of control, discomfort, and it's just not pleasant. And so dealing with that on top of the BPD episode that I was dealing with last week, it was kind of like I didn't necessarily notice right away when the hypomania kind of set in, because I had already been dealing with what I was dealing with my, you know, flare up, and then that cycled into each other. Sunday was rough. Sunday was really rough. I was like, okay, is this the bipolar or the BPD? And they were like, ¿por qué no los dos? And I'm like, okay, fun. So I'm still trying to come down from that. Trying to make sure I'm sleeping, trying to stay hydrated. Not super great at that, but I am trying to like make sure I stay on top of like eating, because skipping meals or like allowing myself to get too hungry does make the hypomania worse. See, I keep doing it. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I am hopefully going to be seeing the other side of that soon, because I do feel a little bit better today. But you know, as always these things are a little bit unpredictable. I did manage to force myself to call my new psychologist, because the other fun thing that happened was I was supposed to have an appointment with him, and I kept like counting down, like, okay, just got to make it to the appointment, just make it to the appointment. Time for the appointment came. He messaged me. He had a migraine. I had to cancel. I'm like, okay, sure, no problem. And my next appointment wouldn't have been until a week later. So yesterday I finally messaged him and I was like, listen, I'm struggling. I need something. Is there anything that you can tell me? Should I be calling my psychiatrist? Like, I don't know, like, what even to do anymore. So he was able to call me for a little bit, get me to calm down a bit. And so I've got an additional appointment with him, as well as an appointment with my psychiatrist, who is probably going to want to switch up my meds again, which sucks because I've not yet found a good balance for medication, and this current one seemed to have been going well, and then it wasn't. So I think that's one of the hardest parts about my bipolar disorder, is like I've yet to find a really good combination of meds that help manage my symptoms, as well as have side effects that I can deal with, because the side effects for the medications can be pretty miserable as well. So still trying to get there. So, you know, that's the boring, murky side of mental illness that, you know, nobody ever talks about. That the medication management, it's not interesting or fun, but it's critical, especially with dealing with bipolar disorder. The borderline, that really is more therapy based, because there's not really medication to treat borderline. Since it's a personality disorder, you can have medications to help treat like the depression that often goes along with it, or the anxiety, or a mood stabilizer to try to help stabilize the mood swings. And there's absolutely nothing for the dissociation. That is another one that is like therapy based. I guess there's supposed to be like some that might help with it, but there's no guarantee really. So I'm hoping by working with this specialist, I'm going to be able to figure out what's going on and get a handle on that, because that's not a comfortable feeling either. But yeah, so that's kind of what's been going on. And hopefully the next time I do this kind of a video, I'll have some better news to report. But until then, go ahead and ring that bell. And so that you can, so I just realized what these look like. I use these to get stickers off of like sticker sheets and place them in my planner. Sorry. But until next time, I will be putting up a video. The next one I put up is probably going to be about borderline personality disorder and favorite person. So definitely ring that bell so you can know when that video goes up. And until next time, take care and stay well.